you doing? This is Black Shy Guy. Welcome to Shy Town. Once again, you're with the Shy crew. Brian and Frank also up in the room. We're gonna be discussing Dead Space.
Oh shit! This one's regenerating!
How are you going to kill it?
I'm not!
Dead Space! Dead Space!
Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye.
Yes, sir! I know what you guys are thinking. You guys just was talking about Resident Evil, but listen, Dead Space gives Resident Evil a run for its money. I think Dead Space is up there in horror. I think even better than Resident Evil in a lot of ways. But before we continue, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the follow and subscribe, which is the same thing. What the fuck am I talking about? Also, hit that notification button to get notified for any upcoming new videos. Also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, which I really appreciate, make sure you hit the follow and also let people know. Also share, man. I really appreciate it. Let's go, my dudes. Dead Space, man. What you guys got to say about it, man? Stop playing.
Man, listen, one of the best games in terms of horror that you're gonna find out there. Resident Evil, don't get me wrong, Resident Evil is what it is. We all love Resident Evil. But this gives that, like you said, this definitely gives Resident Evil a run for its money. I ran into Dead Space. I'm not even sure about the timeline in terms of Dead Space of when I ran into it, but there's always that space when, like in a lot of games, like Resident Evil is one of those games that after you played it and you played the shit out of it and you did everything you needed to do, you found all the Easter eggs, you did all that other shit. Now you're looking for a game that's like Resident Evil. You're just out there, you're just searching. You're like, oh damn, played this game, shit. Damn, now I'm looking for the next Resident Evil. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? And Dead Space was that for me. And like Shy Guy said, it was killer. It was like it gave Resident a run for its money in terms of what it did for the genre, because it's just not a lot of horror games out there. Just not a lot of horror games.
Yeah,
not good ones anyway. Good horror games.
Oh man, like honestly, for me, it like just like Prodigal Son said, it to me it changed the game in a sense, because we already did the Resident Evil thing, but always think about Dead Space when you didn't. It wasn't only about going through a door. It was about the vents, and you had to be quiet. You had to be quiet in your own house because you're like, wait. The sound from here, vent from over there. Then you got something running towards you. It wasn't music that gave you a cue that something was coming. Toward you. It would just happen. Boom, and you got to react. Boom, you got to react and pay attention to your surroundings, because if you hear something from 2 meters down, that's something that's coming towards you, or when you go to a certain spot, it's dropping down in front of you. That's horror in a new way that hasn't really been done in a creepy sort of, what's around the corner? But if what's around the corner may devour me. Forget about just hitting me, devour me quick. That's what it was. That's what Dead Space was different.
Dead Space to me did a lot of things that Resident Evil lost its way. You know what I mean? Dead Space gave you that horror feel. Dead Space made you feel like you were actually alone in that hallway. Like when you was transversing through the hallways, even through some of the ducts that Isaac managed to go in, you actually felt alone. And with Resident Evil, I think it lost its way after part 2. I think part 2 after it lost its way. So I think Dead Space overall took over the horror genre. I know there was games out there like Silent Hill, you had Alone in the Dark. I know there was other games, but to me, Dead Space finally brought the masterpiece that the horror genre needed to propel itself ahead of a lot of games just like it. Just like Resident Evil. So I believe that Dead Space, it was really good. Basically, if you guys didn't play Dead Space, I'm going to just keep it simple. It was about a guy named Isaac Clarke, and he killed shit. All right? That's all you need to know. All right? That's all you need to know. If you want to play the game, just go play the game. But Dead Space did a lot of things, man. I even liked the flashlight shit that was going on in Dead Space. When you turn on the flashlight, it actually made you feel like the room was freaking dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the thing. My fault. Let me cut it right here. Look, I think it's the thing where, like, all these games that we're talking about, they all trying to follow. Like, games always been trying to follow movies from the beginning of time. That's what they've been trying to get equal to. They've been trying to get equal with games. They've been trying to make the same money, trying to make people cry, all of that stuff. They want to be movies, and they've been getting closer and closer and closer every year. And with every game, I think we're getting closer and closer and closer. But the game that Dead Space are trying to emulate is the game that they all trying to emulate, Aliens. And you're trying to get closer and closer to Aliens. And I think they did a good job coming closer to Aliens, as close to Aliens as any game has come, because there's not even a good Aliens game out there. There's no Aliens game that's really good. Maybe the last one that just came out, which I didn't play. You guys played that game, right? The newest Alien game.
Fireteam?
What's that called? Fireteam. You guys played that, right?
The fire team. I think we played that, didn't we? Like.
Yeah, multiplayer fun. I'll give it that.
I mean, the Alien game wasn't like horror though. Like the Alien game was not horror at all, man. It was like arcadey.
Not in that sense. I'm not talking about in that sense being like Alien, but there's no good per se Alien game that has that horror sense. And Dead Space gave it that horror sense. With stuff coming out the walls, man. That shit is scary. Straight up.
I mean, I don't think the Alien pulled it off as well as Dead Space did. Like Dead Space, especially when they had, because remember, audio plays a big part when it comes to horror, and Dead Space even had the audio going for it. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean when the alien come out, like it nailed everything, man. But I don't think Alien pulled it off the way Dead Space did. I think Alien, it was fun. Had nothing to do with horror. To me, Alien was one of the games that if you wanted to grab a quick fun with a couple of friends, you can go in and play. But I don't think it did what Dead Space did. Dead Space did a lot of things that a lot of these horror games can't do, and I don't think will ever be repeated. And especially when Dead Space 2 came out, it was even better than the last one. Dead Space 2 was even better than Part 1. The only thing I didn't like about Dead Space Part 1 is because Isaac did not have a personality in Part 1. He was mute. I was like, who the fuck am I playing with? Why is this guy not saying anything? That was the only thing that really bothered me in Dead Space 1. But horror, gameplay, audio was amazing. Because when you heard something creeping on the left side of your headset, it was actually coming from the left side of the room. So that was also a big part of what the horror was in that game. Dead Space to me was the best horror game of that generation. To me, it took over, it dominated. And like I said, Dead Space 2 pushed the boundaries even further, and it finally gave Isaac a personality. What I think that could have propelled Dead Space even further, if there was a scene in Dead Space that the room was almost completely dark, like you needed the flashlight. You really need, there's a lot of rooms in Dead Space that you can turn on the flashlight if you want, but you can still see even if you turn it off. This room was like almost pitch black, and I think they needed more rooms like that. I don't know if you guys. It wasn't a particular room. There was just certain rooms that you definitely needed the flashlight, and I think they should have pushed that further. Like you should have made more dark rooms. And not that I'm bitching about it. I'm just saying that the fact that I only have that to complain about tells you a lot about the game.
Okay. You're right about the more dark rooms. There were light rooms, but they were dark rooms at the same time. And both did point on certain things. But I think what Prodigal Son was talking about when it came to an alien game, I don't think he meant aliens per se. Is a horror game with aliens inside of it. That's what I think he was referring to when he mentioned the whole aliens aspect and stuff like that. And also, let's just say this: you already mentioned Isaac's personality in Part 2. That was the big jump and so which I thought was very, very well needed, because I'm playing Dead Space once and I'm like, who's this kind of Legend of Zelda silent character that don't have no emotion and just goes and just does what he's supposed to without saying no, yes, leave me alone, why these things hitting me, whatever. I think that was a plus. Secondly, one thing that I do think that pushes Dead Space above almost any other horror genre is the fact of you don't go for the head, you go for the limbs.
Exactly, I forgot. Yep.
Because if you shoot for the head, you're like, why the hell is this thing coming after me? What do I do?
They go faster.
Exactly. Isaac was like a surgeon. You had to shoot the right arm, the left arm, maybe the leg, and stuff like that. That was different, and you had to strategically plan your attack, because if y'all remember, Dead Space, they would jump you. They would jump you like somebody taking your money at 8 o'clock in the morning real quick, and they was hanging. Jump. Dead Space just different. That was crazy, and you had to strategically. And remember, a lot of the necromorphs were different. There was a big hulking one. There was one that created other necromorphs. Dead Space really changed the game of horror. On there wasn't one type. There was like 15 types if you really think about it. That's what changed. That's what changed it. When every
absolutely.
Room, you have to think what to do. That's what Dead Space did for me. Like I had to think.
And
no question.
And I get what Prodigal Son was saying about the alien thing. I just really think that aliens I'm gonna get back to the fact that of what horror games gotta do for me to succeed. When I put in a horror game, which is what Dead Space did for me entirely, 100%. When I put in a horror game, I really need to feel fear. Like I really need to feel like when I'm playing the horror game, I'm looking in the hallway of my my living area. I'm like, is there something down there? You know what I'm saying? Like it needs to make me think. And Dead Space did that. And with the weapons that Drano was talking about, I really think that also propelled it. I mean, the surgical precision that you need to be in that game was so absolute. The fact that you got to take off the limbs, and if you go for the head, you think, all right, this is classic Resident Evil. I just go for the head, they drop. Nah, they charge you when you take off the head. And there was a big bubbly one that if you shoot the bubbly one in the body, it pops and it releases a whole bunch of parasites at you. And remember, there was the baby ones that you got to surgically remove as tentacles, because the baby one reminded me of the aliens with the tentacles and stuff like that. And then you got the Necromorphs, which was the main person that you usually fight, that you gotta remove its limbs. To me, I really preferred removing their legs first. To me, the Necromorphs, I always went for the legs first. And what was it? What I did usually with the Necromorphs, I think it was the line gun. That was my favorite gun. The line gun? You got the line gun?
Yes, sir.
It was, I don't know. And I'm not gonna lie, the pulse rifle was okay. I mean, I leveled up the pulse rifle because I underestimated it because of the RPM that comes out of that gun. But the line rifle automatically put you at an advantage. It automatically gave you the advantage in the beginning of a fight. Not only did it had a pushback, it put them on the ground. You heard? It put them on the ground. And I don't know what guns you guys preferred in that game, but I preferred the line rifle.
That plasma cutter, it was just like my go-to. It just became my scissors. I'll just chop you up. Just go out there and chop you up with the plasma cutter and just, there go limb, there go limb, there go the legs. Oh, look at you now. Oh, look at you now. I'll give you a couple of stomps. I'll give you a couple of stomps. You like that? Huh? Yeah. You like that?
I underestimated the fact that you say the stomp. I underestimated the stomp because when I play it again, I noticed that you can save so much ammo the minute you drop an Necromancer or any type of enemy. Just go up to them and stomp them, because the stomp, despite it being like the hit frame on a stomp was so small because they had to do it. The stomp was so powerful. Because the stomp immediately explodes an enemy when you stomp them, so they had to nerf that stomp. But the fact that you mentioned the stomp, I forgot how powerful it is. But I didn't really mess with that gun. I didn't really mess with that gun, probably. I mean, did you power it up?
No. I power once you power it up. It's just like it's sort of like a laser beam almost. It cuts right through. It cuts them like butter, dude. Just cuts them like butter.
Why I don't remember that gun clearly? Why I don't? Was it the yellow one? Does it look like? Did it look like a construction type gun?
Nah, it was just like a handgun. Just a handgun. That's the first gun you get.
Yeah, like when you upgrade it, it gets stronger.
Oh yeah. What am I talking about, man? Listen, alright, fellas. I know. Don't put it down in the comments talking about he don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Listen, I forgot about it. Listen, it's lying on the line gun. All right. But anyway, yeah, I forgot about it. I mean, it was the main gun.
Yes, sir. That's the first gun you get.
The original, and the last upgrade was they turned them into fire. Remember, they would burn.
Yeah. Yup. I mean, you guys didn't fuck with the pulse rifle though?
Nah, only I did it. I only messed with that for the stalkers that remind me of velociraptors. They used to stalk you and stuff like that. I only did it really for them. But I really
because of the pushback, right?
Yes. And really the plasma cutter and the line gun. Because remember, when you upgrade the line gun, it had a secondary thing that you throw a lightning bolt on the floor and it explodes. So that was like my two go-tos.
That wasn't the line gun though.
The secondary option for the line gun, you throw like a little thing on the floor and it explodes in Dead Space 2, not Part 1. Remember, Dead Space 2, you had a secondary option. In Dead Space 2, you had a secondary option.
Oh yeah. Damn, this makes me want to go back and play because I mean I forgot. I mean when the game released, I was fucking with it hard, but I forgot so many aspects of the game.
10 times.
It's been a long time. I mean, actually, I think on live they just made it backward compatible, and that's what I love about the box right now. They recognize that the era of games, that 360 era, PS3 era, dude, it's the mecca. It's the mecca of games right now, and people are going back to that genre and they're playing. That's why you can't pretty much move forward. This whole Xbox One and this generation also has pretty much been throwbacks and remakes because they're trying to go back and relive what they did in that 360 PS3 era, because that's where all the great games are. We haven't had a lot of newness out there. All we getting is a lot of remakes because games like Dead Space are absolutely fantastic. They might not have been able to absolutely realize their vision on a 360 and on a PS3 because of the hardware constraints and whatever. But now that we're up here in terms of PCs and what you can see, and that's why we're getting all these remakes, because now they can really realize and you can really see what developers wanted you to see. Like per se, the Resident 2 remake. Resident 2 remake, absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous, and Resident 3 remake also.
Yeah, but in terms of remake, because we're getting a Dead Space remake. Yep, we're getting a Dead Space remake for those who don't know, and it was joyous news. I'm not gonna lie, but it was also a somber news for me, also for the simple fact that I think developers are actually getting really lazy, and they see the advantage of being lazy because all they have to do is remake a game because the story is already developed, the character is already developed. All you have to do is enhance the graphics, and obviously change some aspects of the game, like add new rooms, add more detail to the story. But basically, to me, it's kind of lazy because you don't have to develop anything else. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're gonna have possibly new voiceover characters. You can't change the voice actor of Isaac because it'll be stupid. But other voice actors are obviously gonna get involved. But I think developers are getting lazy. I understand that remakes are the shit right now because obviously in this generation of games, we're not getting anything great. I mean, besides Horizon Zero Dawn and other games that continues to propel the boundaries like The Last of Us. But thank God, I am happy about the Dead Space remake. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I'm glad that we're getting it, but like I said, I hope that their imagination grows wider after Dead Space, because the continuation of remakes, I think, is killing the game industry in a way that a lot of people don't understand. Because if all we're gonna be doing is living in the past, it's not gonna propel the future at all, at all. But what what Dead Space is gonna do, I wonder what they're gonna do. That's what's gonna surprise me. I don't know if there's any trailers of it at all out, right? I mean, is there?
No, there's trailers. Yeah, there's trailers out.
Just an announcement that that is there, and developmental footage. No real trailer.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Is it a true remake though? Is it like a true remake?
They saying from the ground up, yes. They saying from the ground up.
Oh snap! So Isaac is actually gonna have a personality in part 1 of a Dead Space trilogy.
Yes. The same voice actor that was from Dead Space 2 and 3, Gunnar Wright, is actually going to return. And voice and be the personality from Isaac that we remember from the other the
other 2 games.
It's just the fact of is it cool that a remake for Dead Space is coming out? Cool. Is it needed? My opinion, no. We would need a Dead Space 4. That's just me. But since it's coming out, I want to see what they do if they really keep their word with the ground up, and I'll mess with it.
I think Dead Space 4 though will be too chaotic. I think they ended it and left it to our imagination, which I do prefer, because in Dead Space 3, it's basically the end of the world, don't you think? They landed on Earth. It was a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything they try to prevent actually happened in part 3. They tried to prevent the Necromasters from getting to Earth, and they prevailed in part 3. I think it was a wrap, and I think them ending it there was a good idea. Because imagine you're playing Dead Space 3. Now you got to fight in every state? Los Angeles. I'm like, state. I think
but that was funny as hell. I'm sorry. When you said it's a wrap, I was thinking of that part of Aliens, but you said game over, man.
Imagine aliens. Exactly. Imagine aliens landing on Earth. It's a wrap.
The only thing that makes it different, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie. Game wise, you just hit something on the head. Going from Los Angeles to New York will probably be a little bit different than me and you traveling. Because remember, they can do they're very good at light speed travel, so they could probably travel between states.
True, yeah, but then you're missing everything in between.
But they could probably expand on that. You know what they can do. But also think about it. There is an original marker on Earth, the black marker. So they could probably do something maybe with that, where since that's the original, they could find a way to dismantle the other necromorphs around, because that's the original that created them. I don't know, maybe something like that.
True.
It's chaotic. It's gonna be chaotic. You did use the right word. That's gonna be necromorphs every goddamn way, everywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be almost like that game, Dead Space 4. I think that's why I believe it was a really good idea to end it at part 3, and leave it to your imagination. If you're a book reader, then it was fine with you. If you're not, you're obviously gonna be upset about it, because you want a visual of the possibilities of what can happen if the Necromancers landed on Earth. But and other than that, them redoing Dead Space, obviously we're gonna get a part 2 remake and a part 3 remake. Maybe they'll conclude it even better. Maybe they'll say that the thought of Necromancers landing on Earth was just a imagination of Isaac's. You know what I mean? But you know what I won't forget about Dead Space though is when, Prodigal Son, I'm not gonna lie. You gotta let dudes know when you had trouble with the boss and you had to call a dude up, and you were like, I keep hitting this boss 100 times. Why is this boss not dying?
Oh my God. That is a horrible story, and I don't even want to relive that story again. That was horrible, and dude. So it's a short story, pretty much. Dude, Mr. Shy Guy here is fighting the boss, and he's a sniper guy. he's sniping everything. But see, I wasn't a sniper guy. And 2, I'm hitting everything with automatics, and I got the line gun. I'm not messing with sniper at all. There's no need for sniper. Everything is coming. Everything is crowding you. You got every enemy is crowding you. So I have all my weapons are close quarter weapons. Everything I've leveled up is close quarter.
Yep.
Get to the last boss. You fighting on the beach. You fighting on the beach. The last boss, well, what looks like a beach.
No, it was actually the balcony. Remember, it was like the it was like a balcony of a. It was a takeoff platform.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, more of a takeoff.
Okay, right. So, but you gotta sort of get to him. And there's all the weapons every time you kill something.
You mean to her? It was a her, wasn't it?
Yes, it's her. I'm just saying her.
What's the last thing in Dead Space 1? Or are you talking about Dead Space 2?
No, Dead Space 2.
It's just 2. It's all this.
And then it says
just 2.
the vision of Nicole.
Yup, exactly.
Okay.
It was the vision of her, because in Dead Space 2.
One shot.
Yup, in Dead Space 2, my main weapon that I depended on was the sniper gun. Like, that gun was so powerful that, I mean, and I'm telling you, Prodigal Son will tell you when I finally introduced him to the sniper gun. That gun took heads off. Like, and they didn't get back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I got to the boss,
Use it on the last boss.
You guys only used it on the last boss?
I only used it on the last boss.
Wow.
I never used it, period.
Wow, you guys are crazy, man. You guys must have had a hard life. Because I didn't. I used that gun religiously. And when I got to the boss, it wasn't even a thought process going through my head on which gun should I use. I was like, listen, bitch. You going down, and I'm not even getting close to you. You know what I mean? I'm a long ride you.
Plasma color put them to sleep when I upgraded it finally. Oh, and the fire extinguisher thing.
Oh, the fire extinguisher was good, but I hated it because you couldn't watch the frames if they were dead or not. So they're burning up, and you're like, are they dead? Are they? Nope, they hit you.
I had a secondary feature that was like a bomb. You throw it, and it goes boom. That would be a confirmation right there, honestly.
But that was the secondary of the plasma rifle. The plasma rifle shot out something. What?
Plasma cutter, there was no secondary. You only switch it like this.
No, I'm talking about the plasma rifle.
What's it?
Pulse rifle?
The pulse rifle, yeah. The pulse rifle had that little...
That was like a shotgun. The secondary one was like a shotgun.
Oh, okay. Damn, I forgot so much shit. Like... Yeah, because my main guns.
I remember. I told you I played that game so much. I remember like it was yesterday.
Like my main guns were like the pulse. What was like the pulse rifle, the pulse rifle, and the sniper, and the line gun. Line gun in every single Dead Space was like almost my main. I did like the plasma cutter. I did love that gun because the plasma cutter, I gotta admit, was the most powerfulest gun in the game when you powered it up. It basically was the most powerfulest gun in the game.
That's why I used it.
It was like
space gun.
It was like a magnum in your. It was like a magnum. It was so powerful.
Yep. Yes, it was.
I mean, it was crazy. I really enjoyed that. There was a lot of good things, and Dead Space brought a lot of good things to the genre of gaming, and I really think it made me overlook every other game out there that supposedly was horror, and Dead Space contradicted them, and they was like, "No, you're not horror, dude. We're horror." You know what I mean? You want to play horror? Play our game. You know what I mean? And I think Capcom was like, holy shit. You see what just came out, Bob? What you mean? Bob!
But I think they walked that fine line because the third iteration, Dead Space 3, they sort of jumped the shark because the weapons customization is so crazy.
Yep, you absolutely right with
they
that.
Sort of took away from the horror
aspect.
to go like we said with Resident Evil to go action.
Yep, they
and
did.
Action.
They did.
Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't mad. The weapon customization was dope. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it was godlike.
I'm going out of there with a different gun every night.
Yeah.
Like, yo. And it was water cooler moments. Me and Shy Guy coming to the job the next day. Yo, dude, what gun you made last night?
Exactly. It was crazy.
It was water cooler moments. It was great. It was great, and I loved it.
It was like trading Pokemon cards. It was like, yo, no. I know you made that gun, but you combine this gun and then you put this gun over here and then you put. It was like Pokemon trading cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed.
And you
took away from the horror tropes.
Yeah.
It took away from those horror tropes that you really wanted out of your Dead Space and out of the horror game. And from what we know from the other two games where they would really going hard on horror. But we're talking about EA.
Yeah.
Not get it wrong. We're talking about EA.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna knock EA when it comes to. I'm not gonna knock EA when it comes to Dead Space. You're absolutely right when it comes to Dead Space 3. They removed the horror because you didn't feel vulnerable anymore. You actually felt like Superman in that game because the guns just made you impenetrable. You know what I mean? The creatures were not getting near you. Like, you know what's that? You shoot a gun on a ground, an ammo on the ground, and it spins. Nobody can walk past that. So the necromancers had no chance to even get to you. So you never feared going into a dark room anymore. You never feared what may pop out of the vents because your gun was just godlike, and it removed. And when you feel godlike, you have no fear. You know what I mean? And 100%. Prodigal hit it on the nose. Dead Space 3, the fear was gone. It was just absolutely gone. And I say it was gone after you played at least 40% of the game. Because remember, when you played the beginning of the game for the first time ever, you don't feel powerful yet. It's after a point in the game that you're like, I can do what? You know what I mean?
That was accurate. There's one more thing I guess I'm gonna just add on real quick that I felt Dead Space also hit on the head. When you played as Isaac part two, and I would say part 3, the dialogue, Isaac actually said what you were thinking a lot. He had a lot of smart remarks and stuff that you were thinking yourself, like that time where you first met the stalkers, and that woman's like, Isaac, I'm not. He's like, not now. Like,
that scene. Oh. That scene was so magical because you brought up a scene that was so magical. Even if Dead Space becomes a movie, that part of the game needs to be in a movie because I felt just like Isaac because I was like, shut up, bitch. You don't see what I'm doing down here.
Wow.
Because
wow.
A lot of things. He said a lot of things that you could relate to. Even his smart remarks was like, yeah, I would say that too at this time. Like, shut up.
Exactly. You got creatures coming at you on all sides, and she's talking about stupid shit. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm fighting monsters trying to survive here, and you talking to me like we're having a regular conversation at a freaking coffee shop. Like, shut up.
Exactly.
I mean,
and he did very good choice and point things, like, you know, like, again, stuff that I would probably say, and it's stuff that you would probably hit in a horror genre movie that you're like, yeah, I would say that.
Absolute.
I like that. I like that Dead Space did that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Dead Space lore in books. I mean, I haven't read any of that stuff, but gotta be about 4 or 5 books. Dead Spaces with the Dead Space. Dead Space.
Yep.
I was surprised at how deep it was. I was looking and I was doing a little research on it, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that they had all of that stuff in terms of lore.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dead Space has a lot of lore, and Dead Space has a lot of legs. I mean, the story can expand beyond what they did in part 3. It has so much lore, and the fact that they're making a remake, I guess they're gonna give us a lot more to indulge in. For those who haven't played Dead Space, we highly recommend you go into it, because actually, if you want to wait for the remake, I really honestly think you're wasting your time. I think you should dive into it right now, because it stands the test of time. Even the graphics stands the test of time. If you haven't played Dead Space, take it from us. It's a game worth playing even at this point in time. Thank you for joining us at Chi-Town. This is Black Shy Guy. We got Prodigal Son. We got Drano in the house. It is what it is, man. Listen, we out.